y'all, it's Belle. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a recent read, so 10 of my latest read books. First is The Shrunken Head. It's the first in the Curiosity House series by Lauren Oliver and H.C. Chester. So happy I finally read these. Illustrations throughout. It was just such an amazing read. I've had them forever, like I've said before, and I'm so happy I finally read. This completed prompt 1 for series September that's hosted by Books and Jams and Sarah's Nightstand on YouTube, and I'll link them below. I started a series. This was dark at times, while at the same time being heartwarming. It was just brilliantly done. It gives me all the gothic vibes, maybe even American Horror Story vibes. Just the vibes, not the same at all, but with kids in New York and historical fiction atmosphere. This big house that they live in and work in, since it's also the museum, is atmospheric just in itself. Then the vivid details of New York City and these amazing main characters and even side characters is just so good. This is yet another one that does the multi-third person point of view, and I of course enjoyed that so much as usual. Each kid is so different in every way, not just their different talents, but their personalities, feelings, all of it. And I adore all of them. The stolen shrunken head and the mystery surrounding it and its possible curse was so gripping. Between the murders, their guardian, Mr. Dumphrey, getting in trouble, the reporter writing horrible things about the kids, and in turn, public treating them horrible, calling them freaks, and the danger, adventure, suspense as we go along with these kids to try and solve it all. All of these things and more just make for a very fast-paced, suspenseful, dark, atmospheric, imaginative read. The found family vibes are superb in here and just get better and better throughout as the kids become even closer on their quest for the truth. So many twists and turns. Then the bombshells revealed towards the end. Wow, just loved every bit of this. Amazing humor as well, dark humor and regular humor. Also great messages woven into the story. What makes someone the real freak or monster? Someone that is kind and a great person overall, but just happens to be different in some way, or a seemingly normal person who is actually evil on the inside and hides their true selves. The answer is obvious, but the way people sometimes behave, you would think it wasn't. Just highly recommend. Then I read A Tale of Magic by Chris Colfer, the first in the trilogy. I think it's just going to be a trilogy. I haven't heard anything about a fourth book. So. And it was so good to be back with this author's writing. The Land of Stories series, like I've said many times, is what got me into middle grade and will always have a special place in my heart. And this is the first book in a series that's a prequel series to that. And it was phenomenal. Its characters are a little older, and I flew through it. It was completed prompt 3 for series September. It's a series you started a long time ago, because since it's a prequel to Land of Stories, and that's what got me into middle grade, and I read those in 2018. That's what I'm counting it as. Just loved it. I love seeing the very beginnings of certain aspect of this world, and as usual, the author has such a talent for writing, engaging writing, with well thought out plots full of magic and imagination. He writes the most amazing and endearing characters that you just fall in love with. He also manages to weave so many amazing messages throughout his books. One of my favorite paragraphs was, and I'll quote it, "We're all just a couple of mistakes away from becoming the people we despise," she said. "So don't think worse of yourself, but let this change how you think of yourself. Start valuing who you are more than what you are. Prove you're better than most people by showing more acceptance and empathy, and fuel your pride with what you earn and create instead of what you're born with." Just so. I also noticed all the 4 kids, the only totally accepting and loving parents were the ones who adopted the child after she was discarded by the humans, and the adopted parents being a species banned by said humans for being evil and awful. There's so many messages in there alone. I loved all our main kids, and all their different magical talents were incredible. Our main character, Bristol, is superb though. Her kindness and compassion are written so well. It doesn't come off cheesy or wrong in any way. It's in a way to where you just wish the world was full of people like her. She's truly exceptional. And the last piece of dialogue for the chapter on page 468, I was so proud of her. And that scene gave me goosebumps. The twist at the end had me speechless, and I was just shocked. Such a great ending, though. This is full of magic, adventure, friendship, imagination, atmosphere, danger, and another found family aspect that would just warm your heart. Also, Lucy is just the best. When I realized who she becomes later in this world, I just laughed so hard because it's perfect and clicks into place perfectly. Just highly recommend. And then I read the 3rd book in the Tree Street Kids series by Amanda Cleary Eastep, and the author had sent me this and the 4th book. This is Lions to the Rescue. Illustrations throughout, and those little fact blocks that I talk about. I just love this series so much. They're quick reads, and they're wholesome, charming, and just full of so many great things for kids to be reading. This is the third book, like I said, so can't say a lot about the story itself, but as I've said, these are Christian children's fiction, but it still isn't pushed in your face, so if that's not something you like, you should be fine. I love how it's done, though. These are also, like I've mentioned before, set in the 90s, which is just amazing. Simpler times for kids for sure, compared to now, in my opinion. These also still have little blocks occasionally with history facts, like I just showed, from Roger, science facts from Midge, book facts from Ellison, etc. And I still love that so much. I've learned things every book that shocked me and I never knew before. The Michigan Triangle, wow. This one is just full of incredible lessons and messages also. And it touches on being a good friend, racism, books, and how the right one can change people, and also how important for it is for every child to be able to have a book they can see themselves in or learn about their own culture or history from. There's a line in here I love that says, and I'll quote, it's continuing on, books are our friend, how they help people understand others who are different from them, and how they teach us good lessons. It's very true. Books can be a way to bring people together and understand each other sometimes, but books can do so much good. I think this series is a great one for kids, and I love these characters so much. This one mainly is focused on Jack and Ellison, and we meet some new friends as well. The very last page especially had me giving this a big old book hug. Such a wonderful ending. Highly recommend. And then I read the second book in the Sinister Summer series by Kiersten White, Vampiric Vacation, and Random House Kids from Penguin Random House had sent me this. Thank you so much. It is out now. I love the first book so much. I was so excited to continue with this. And I'm just loving this series so much so far. There's such a gothic, unusual, weird, and phenomenal good time. Can't say a lot. This is the second book, but the Sinister siblings are at a new destination on their Sinister Summer vacation. This one also has a vampire type theme, if you will. The title shows that. They still give me the vibes of the Addams Family or the Munsters. Not like the shows exactly, but just that whole vibe you get from them. The author does the weird and unusual gothic mystery stories so well. I loved every new person we meet at the spa, and this new mystery played out so well. I had no idea what to think, which I love. And then when you think you have it figured out, the last couple pages show you something where you have no idea again, nor do our main characters. It's just such a great time, and we're still solving the mystery at the new location while there are still many underlying mysteries involving the siblings, their parents, aunt, and more that we are getting clues sprinkled throughout the series. And I enjoy that aspect so much as well. I have no clue how any of that is going to go, and I'm so super excited to find out. It's just so deliciously mysterious, and I love the whole gothic awesomeness in these and the type of humor that goes along with that. There's a certain person from the first book that shows up in here and is also connected to a new character in this one, and I'm so eager to see what happens next with that too. Theo, Alexander, and Will are still so amazingly written. Their sibling relationship is just the best. Will fascinates me. She may hide behind her precious Rodrigo, her phone, but she's been up to a lot this book, and that's another thing I'm eager to continue on with. And Theo and Alexander are so different, but they really do balance each other out. They make each other stronger, and they're just such a great team. I related to Alexander so much when he had to use the trick his mom taught him to yell stop when his brain went racing out of control. I've had to do that recently a lot when my brain wants to remind me of things about the last day my pup was here. Because it's like you have no control over it and you have to tell it to stop. It's crazy, but so I felt very seen. Also, I always laugh when they're banter back and forth in front of Will when they say the craziest things because they know she's not listening. Can't wait for the third book. Highly recommend these. She's already released a cover reveal for the fourth book too, so I'm so excited there's going to be at least 2 more. And I read the third and I think final book in the Conjurers series by Brian Anderson, Fight of the Fallen. And the author is also the illustrator, and these are full of illustrations. I won this a while ago on one of those Instagram giveaways, one of those tour-like pages does. So I was very excited that I did. It was just fantastic. Everything wrapped up so satisfyingly, and I've just had so much fun with these. So this is the third and final, so can't say a lot, but it's slammed full of stunning illustrations, just as like the first 2, like I said, all done by the author, like I said. I can't believe double talent just always. Ugh. They add so much to the story, the illustrations, just because they're so well done and fit perfectly with what I was already envisioning in my head from the writing. The Conjurian, Magicians, Shadow Conjurer, Jimjarians, the Deadeye, Daddy, and so many more elements in here make this such an intriguing, magical, and charming story. It's my washing machine every time I try to talk. We still alternate points of view from siblings Emma and Alex with occasional points of view from the bad guys, and I love that. They have completely different feelings, opinions, and experiences. They make the best team when working together though, and I still love Neil and Clive. My heart belongs to Pipmawa, but I have to say I absolutely adored Ludwig and Fish in this one and gave some of my heart to Rasha. Oh, so good. I love how everything came together with the eye, the kids, parents, and Savastia, and the bad guys. Just all of it. Just highly recommend. Had a great time. And then I read the 4th book in the Tree Street Kids series by Amanda Cleary Eastep, Mystery in the Crooked Creek Woods. Love this cover. More fact blocks and illustrations inside. Just another wholesome, charming story with great lessons and messages for kids. And bonus, this one had an added mystery detective vibe, so I was in love. A big theme and lesson in this one is the importance of loving your neighbor, even if the neighbor is sort of your enemy, and how you can't let your feelings about a person go against facts just because of your own experiences with them. Truth is the most important thing. We also got to hang out more with Ruthie in this, and even at her house in her room, and learn more about her photography, and I really enjoyed that. Jack and Allison are writing a detective story for a contest, and are pretending like they're, I'm not going to say his name right, Hercule Poirot? An encyclopedia from Agatha Christie, and Encyclopedia Brown from those books. And bits of their story as they write are included, sprinkled out throughout the book. And then the whole story is added as a whole at the end as well. And I really enjoyed that, and I know kids will get a kick out of that as well. These always make me think of all the great things about my childhood, because it's set in the 90s. Always being outside, always on a bike, playing, doing something. It's so nice to read and remember a time where kids didn't have their faces stuck in a phone screen, video game, etc. This is a younger middle grade series that you won't get too heavy on topics, but the author does a great job subtly addressing important issues, like in this one with what was done to the Native Americans. And back to the love thy neighbor, the people government treated the Native Americans as their enemy, and treated them actually more horribly than I could even imagine treating an enemy. It's just truly evil. There are many facts sprinkled throughout, and in the fact blocks I keep talking about Illinois' Native American history in particular in this one. My husband's from Chicago, so I read some to him because I had no idea. He did though, and he even told me about a place called Starved Rock there. That's just so evil. I love learning history though. It's so important, and I have a high percentage of Native American in me, apparently. I've been told by my dad, but I don't know. So I love to learn as much as possible, especially when it's history I've never heard before. Kids will learn so much from these, whether from the fact blocks throughout, the great lessons and messages, or even seeing how much fun kids had without electronics and technology. That it is possible. This is the first 4 books are all out now. I don't know if there'll be more, but I really hope so. These are just such a great time. This is the 5th book that I read in the Murder Most Unlikely Mystery series, in the UK edition, and in the US it's a Wells and Wong mystery by Robin Stevens. But I read the UK version. And then the US edition is also called Mistletoe and Murder. But the cozy, fun murder mystery vibes, that just sounds so wrong, are back with this one though, and it was so great. Another location, visiting a family member at college at the Women's and Men's College in Cambridge. We also get to visit with one colleague from the Orient Express, Alexander, and are introduced to his detective partner, George. And I love George's character so much. Not only has Daisy met her match in this male version basically of herself, I love what he did for Hazel without even realizing it probably. Not being English, that's how it's said in the book, like Hazel, he has a more confident, defiant, proud approach to it rather than what she's had in the past when treated differently just for being from another country. As an example, there's a part where a racist bigot is unhappy or angry that there are basically 4 non-English people in his presence and at his school, and he stares, so he's staring, and as in Hazel's point of view, I'm going to start quoting now, rather accusingly, as though it was unreasonable of us all to be alive and so close to each other. I felt embarrassed, as though I had made a mistake without noticing it, like eating with the wrong fork or wearing the wrong sort of hat. Then I saw George's chin tip up again, and remembered that I had made no mistake at all. It really is not rude to exist, whatever anyone else says. Like, that's my girl, Hazel. There are even more examples throughout where George helps Hazel on this journey of hers of loving who she is and where she comes from. It's something to be dang proud about, because Hazel rocks. She proves the effect George has had on her and how much she rocks yet again, when even though there's a Chinese boy there at the college that she knows from home and that she doesn't even like that much and is one of their suspects, but she knows because he's not English like her, like I keep saying in the book. Once he's accused, if they accuse him, there's no taking it back. He won't be listened to properly or be able to defend himself properly. So she tries to make sure everyone realizes they have to make very, very sure before they even accuse him. They need to be sure, like 100%. And I love that. This is also set at Christmas time, and there's even more added atmosphere with the holiday and the snow on top of the usual already amazing atmosphere the author creates. I had no idea who done it and kept going back and forth, none being who actually done it. Daisy and Hazel's friendship is so on point in this one. I was so proud of Daisy too. She finally gave Hazel credit for figuring out the big break in the case. And when Hazel is afraid a boy that she likes will laugh if he knew, Daisy says, and I quote, "Why ever should he laugh?" asked Daisy, her face surprised. "You're Hazel. You're the best person I know. Don't I keep telling you so?" I was like, oh, my heart. That's a lot from Daisy. You just come to understand that's just her. She doesn't understand people on a feelings level or emotions like that, and it's hard to explain. I've actually grown quite fond of her. Still have the best time with these. Highly recommend. This was also prompt 2 completed for series September. Double it up, 2 books in the same series or by the same author, and I had finished book 4, Jolly Foul Play, September 10th. So, yay. And then I read the second book in the Curiosity series by Lauren Oliver and H.C. Chester, The Screaming Statue. Illustrations throughout again. This was even more mysterious, creepy, gothic, unusual, and atmospheric than the first one even. And I love this one so much as well. There's a new murder of someone close to them they are trying to solve, plus something they learned in the first book they are trying to come to terms with and is still being dealt with. Plus they have new troubles at the museum and are having to worry about their home as well. The writing was just as engrossing and engaging in here. So atmospheric, fast-paced with these extraordinary characters that I just adore. Just highly recommend. Ugh. And then I read the first book in the Cat Mage Chronicle series by Meryl Urish, Darkness Rising. And the author had sent me all 5 books of the series, so thank you so much. This was such a thrilling, unique, imaginative, dark upper middle grade that I just really loved. Andy is a terrific main character, and his best friends Becca and Mike are also so great. They have a great dynamic together, and you can just tell that they, even their families, are such great friends. Golden Eyes is a tough cookie. If not written the right way, she could have come off as too mean and unlikable, but the author wrote her perfectly. And because of her tough persona, it makes the bonds she does form even more special and meaningful. Loved her. Letson, or Fuzzy Pants, may have my heart though, or Patches. I just love them both for completely different reasons. This has this whole cat mage world with its own council and everything. They have mage lights on their collars, and they can do magic and communicate telepathically. Not all cats are cat mages though. The line started back with the one above us all, which I'm assuming is God. Such an intricate story and so creative and full of detail and imagination. Everything from the mage lights, the cat mages, the nanagers, the compound, Saunders, and more make for such a dark, magical, gripping, fast-paced story. You fall head over heels for these characters and root for them to succeed. These are darker with the violence, so definitely upper middle grade, and Andy is 13. The only thing I didn't like, because it's me and I can't really handle stuff like that, is in the first 5 pages you come across, I believe, 12 cats who were recently murdered. It's not on page, and since it wasn't detailed and I had no connection to them, since it was the first 5 pages, that sounds horrible, but my mind can handle that because it's fiction and there was no connection. If it was real, then no. So that wasn't too bad. But the main thing was at the end, there's an animal death that I was connected to, kind of, and it was not fun to say the least. But having looked back on it and being away from it, because as soon as it happened, I was like, no. I understand why it had to happen. And I don't know if it's because I'm a dog. I love all animals though, so that can't be it, because I don't want to see any animal killed in a book. But the connection to this character wasn't as strong as the connection to other characters in here. So it didn't destroy me like it probably would have if it had been. And I see why it had to happen, because if it didn't happen, so many other things couldn't have happened if that one death didn't happen. But regardless of all that, if I had been heavily connected to them, I would have not liked it, and I probably wouldn't have continued. So I did want to clarify that, because looking back on it with some time away from it, because I didn't cry either, so that's a big thing for me. So it wasn't fun, and I did not like that, but it didn't destroy me enough to where it, yeah. So I wanted to say that. It wasn't as bad as it could have been, I guess. I don't know how to say it, but if it was really bad, I wouldn't have kept reading these, and I'm on the 3rd book now. But other than that, the writing, characters, plot, story building, pace, everything was incredible. Like I said, I think I'm over halfway through the 3rd book. I just hope there's no deaths of characters that I severely care about. And also, I think this is the first middle grade book I've read where a character is said to have had a parent who died in 9/11, and I like that the author did that. And Andy is definitely a hero like his dad. Highly recommend. And then lastly for this video, I read the second in the Tale of Magic series by Colfer, A Tale of Witchcraft. So beautiful. I'm just loving this series so much, just like I knew I would. His writing just gets better and better each book he writes, which is just crazy. This one went darker even, and I loved it. It had a big witchy vibe, and I ate that up, of course. This one has a new adventure and dangers, and our favorite characters from the first, and some new faves, as well as a whole new threat. These are just so gripping, magical, entertaining, imaginative, and so full of so many amazing underlying messages and themes. We see another school, a lot darker, just like the second story itself, and I loved it. Another highly atmospheric read, having the best time with some of the best characters ever. I love Lucy still. She's a hoot and a half. Highly recommend. Alright, y'all, that's it for this video. Have you read any of these? Did you like them? Did you not? Let me know in the comments. A shirt to the Addams family. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you would like to subscribe, I would love that if you'd like to. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye.